Welcome back to You Ask, We Answer. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to your questions. The first one comes from Sir Lorenz, who asks, how long can the Fed keep inflating the current bubble? They look breathless to me recently. I don't think there's really any limit to how long. I mean, there will be a limit, but I don't think we have any idea, and I don't believe there's any reason to think it's soon. Japan has been trying to undo their deflation to inflate for years, going on 20 years now. Debt has been enormous, and yet they still keep selling their bonds. Interest rates remain low, and it's confounded everyone for years. Hedge funds have gotten killed trying to bet when Japan would fail at this. It hasn't happened, and other than the price of gold showing some worrisome action, I just wouldn't want to bet when this will end. Next question comes from Gordon. Do you think the Republicans will win or lose net seats in Congress in the midterm elections? And do you think Obama will win the re-election? Absolutely. I mean, it seems very unlikely to me that Republicans won't pick up seats in 2010. They had a pretty good congressional or sort of off-year election earlier this month. They didn't win all the races. In particular, the New York 23rd district was kind of a disappointment for the conservative candidate. But generally, they're doing well. They have a ton of issues to hammer on. And it's just a fact that the incumbent party tends to do bad in off-year elections. It's not necessarily that the Democrats are doing so bad. It's just how these, it's a pendulum. As for Obama winning the re-election, I don't know. I'm going to guess yes, if only because I think the Republican field still looks very weak, and I don't know who's going to emerge. If it's Sarah Palin, she's not going to win. Mike Huckabee, the media loved him in the 2008 primary, but they'll be brutal to him, just like they turned on John McCain. And Mitt Romney, I don't see it. But maybe there's someone else who could come out, so who knows? Another question also from Gordon. Oh, this got slipped in there. Do you think the stock market will have an up year or a down year in 2010? And will gold crash in 2010? To answer that, I have a quarter here, and I'm going to flip it. So if it's heads, then the stock market will be up. And if it's tails, then I'm going to say the stock market will be down. So let's see what happens. That wasn't a good flip, but heads. Looks like it's going to be a good year for the market. Now let's do it for gold. Heads again. So double up for stocks and gold in 2010. The coin said it. Is the suspension of mark-to-market accounting by the banks the same thing as federally sanctioned accounting fraud? I'm not totally sure. I am somewhat swayed by arguments that in extreme situations, it doesn't make sense to mark everything to market. I know that doesn't satisfy free market intellectual purists. And it should be noted that we didn't always have strict market-to-market accounting and things went okay. So I tend to think this issue might be a little overrated. But I see both points of view. Who in their right mind, Gray asks, is buying any stock right now? Well, anyone who wants to make money since last March is buying stocks right now. And all the people and all the naysayers of the, quote, most hated rally of all time have gotten their clock cleaned. So you can laugh all you want at people who are buying stocks, but they're the ones making money, not you. If you were given $400,000 but could only buy 3 things, what would they be? This is a really good question. So I'd probably buy about $150,000 worth of guns. And no, I don't need guns. I'd probably buy farmland just because, as they say, it's the ultimate hedge against calamity. And I'm not really that worried. I don't think we're going to have like total societal breakdown. But that might be nice because, I could go live there and I've always wanted to grow my own fruits and vegetables and rear animals. So even if it weren't for that, farmland and maybe a New York, no, I couldn't afford a New York apartment on that. Yeah, I have 3 things. I would just buy that one thing and then keep the rest in a diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, precious metals, and stuff like that. Why do Americans put up with so much corruption? Asks Simons. This is an interesting question because there clearly is tons and tons and tons of corruption in our system. The elites, whether they're in the public sector or the private sector, are clearly on the same side, and it is frequently the little guy, the taxpayer, who gets screwed. Why do we put up with it? I think the answer is that we're scared to actually fight it. So take all this bailout stuff, the AIG stuff that everyone's talking about. We discover that Goldman Sachs got massive payoffs and everything like that. And people claim to be outraged, but in the end, they're really scared of what would happen if the government just sort of dropped the strings and let everything go. So we prefer the comfort of corruption, I believe, to the cold realities of a system where there's nobody in charge. All right, Christopher asks, do you think the BCS will ever be replaced by a playoff? Well, I hope not, because I'm a huge fan of the BCS. I think it makes each week exciting, and I like the idea that if you lose one game, you're pretty much screwed and out of the national championship game. And I think if they went to a playoff system, it'd be like college basketball, where I really don't care about it at all until we get to the playoff. And so I hope not. But I know Obama is in favor of a playoff in college football, so I suppose it's possible. Another good question from Client 9, the pseudonym. If they were both in their prime, could Garry Kasparov have beaten Bobby Fischer? So I'm a big chess fan, and I think Bobby Fischer was amazing. I think Kasparov probably would. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. Kasparov is, trained in the age of computers. The extent to which grandmasters these days can study their game and refine everything down to the perfect level I believe is unparalleled. So it's kind of hard to know where Garry Kasparov's level would be in a different time, but yeah, both in their prime, I do believe Kasparov would probably win. And finally, from Rower 32, what's on your reading list nowadays? I'm so busy, I hardly get a chance to read books anymore. I read an awesome book, though, last week called Tokyo Vice, which a lot of people are talking about. It's about this guy who goes to Japan. It's a true story, and becomes a crime reporter. He's an American and becomes a crime reporter for the biggest newspaper in there. Totally fascinating. It's if you're into journalism or business or Asia or Japan or whatever, or crime, whatever it is, it's just a great book, and I recommend it. Other than that, who has time to read, right? And that's it. Thanks for joining us on You Ask, We Answer. Come back next time.